Hey, this is Doug with Pittsburgh Stones. Today we're at Crooked Tongue, our home course, and we're going to go over the course layout of 1 through 5 and X. All right, so we're going to start with hole 1 here. Where I'm standing currently is the base for hole 1. This is where we start, and we'll move on to the stretch. So the stretch is marked by inbounds, the light mulch, or out of bounds, the dark mulch. Also, the grass is out of bounds, and if you look over here, there's also a water hazard. So we'll keep moving, and we have the sand pit. This is inbounds, marked by the rocks. You can see everything's marked by rocks as well for out of bounds. And then the next step we're gonna do is to end this hole is go to the landing, which is another sand pit over here marked by the rocks. Anywhere in here is the end of the hole. This is the landing. So every team will throw to here, get as close as they can, and then move on to hole 2. So here we have the start of hole 2. This is the base where we're gonna start throwing from. We're gonna throw towards the stretch back here if you wanna follow me. So you can see there's a lot of room. You can see the black mulch versus the light mulch. You can play up in this tree. We have another sand pit you can throw to. And then you can actually see the terrain here goes uphill on mulch. So this is actually pretty challenging to get something to stick. So we'll come up here. And the end of this hole is another sand pit. This is the landing, and move on to hole 3. Okay, so here we are at the start of 3. This is the base, just by the little rocks. So as you can see, 3 starts with a tree directly in your way. The tree is a play. A lot of people like to do it. You can also throw anywhere on the stretch as normal. So we got the tires in play. That sand pit's in play, which we'll do a little loop around. So the tree, when people do that, if you stand at the base, you can hit that back and it will fall into this hole where you can play this tree. But you can also throw, like I said, into this tractor tire. There's sand in here to help it stick. There's this sand pit, because this one is all going downhill. So on this mulch, it can be a little tough to get things to stick, but we have some obstacles to help. We have another sand here, and then to finish this hole out is this sand pit and this grass I'm standing in. So you can throw sand or grass, but you see they've got some nooks and crannies to throw in. Not so much over here, but over here. This grass is also pretty tough because it's not super level, and if you're not careful, you will go right into the water hazard. All right, so now we're at the landing of 4. Arguably the hardest hole of this course. If you come over here, where I am, another tree is directly in the way. And you can move to the left, you can move to the right of it. But what we're aiming for, if you can see, is that log up there. And that's where the stretch starts. So if you want to follow me. This is in play as a stretch of 4. See, there's the rocks here to outline it, the rocks here to outline it. Throwing up and over this water hazard is a great challenge, but if we keep going, we have the stretch like we're used to seeing with mulch. But usually everyone aims for this log, which we call the pair of pants for obvious reasons. And then there is a little built-in slide to throw and have it roll into the landing. Obviously this tree's in play, everything around here. And then past all this sand where I'm standing is the landing. You can see the slide brings you right into here. The mulch stops right there. And this would be the end of hole 4. Then the 5th and final hole, this is where it starts. This is the base. And you go this way towards, the stretch. You can see on here, we got the rocks and everything again. This log's in play. We have a sand pit here. Very common, safe play here. We come down, another sand pit, but past these rocks here, all of this is the landing. So you see the mixture of sand and grass, arguably one of the hardest landings of the whole entire course because it's not flat, it's meant to throw you out of bounds, but that'd be the total course layout for all 5 stretches and everything. Where I'm standing now is the X of the course. You can see that it's kind of visible to almost any hole, but this is meant to be a much harder throw, and we'll go into that at a later detail on scoring here.